Alright, to try and demonstrate what you want to do before you try and set your, or find out your offset between your nozzles, is you're going to put them together, and you're going to lower and down until the primary nozzle is just touching the bed. So I'm going to go down 4 and a couple of tenths of a millimeter. And for my eye, go down right there. Okay, so now it's just touching on the primary nozzle. And that one has a slight gap. So to fix that, come up here, and you want to make sure that your fan and whatnot is unplugged for the second extruder, otherwise you won't be able to access the grub screws. But you want to loosen this one here and that one right there next to that wire. So I just use this tool here. It's just a regular Allen key, but loosen those up. You're going to want to drop this down a little bit. I mean, it's going to be kind of loose and it may drop down on its own. But you want to remember too that when you tighten it up sometimes it will actually force it down. So you want to recheck that your offset is good after you tighten it, and just be certain it doesn't force the bed down over here and then cause a gap to happen over here. So I'm going to tighten up the one screw, second screw. Alright, so it ended up pulling it back up. It can be a pain in the butt sometimes, but just loosen it back up. Sometimes if you actually pull this all the way out, you'll see that there's some divots in the shaft from that being tightened. You can turn it slightly, cock it one way or the other to kind of get out of those divots, and that'll prevent it from pulling it up or down on its own when you go to tighten it. This is a little difficult to do with one hand, but it's now just resting on the bed similar to that one. I'll try and tighten this up. And it pulled it up again. So yeah, I'm going to have to do this with 2 hands, but you get the idea. But those are the 2 screws you're concerned with, and you want to have this one touching and lower this one down until it's just touching and tighten it up, and just try and keep it that way. Alright. Okay, I've got the machine homed, moved it over above the tape. Got it pretty close to the surface of the build plate. And I'm going to lower it down slowly until it just starts to touch. It's kind of hard to capture with the camera. And then I'll go maybe 0.3, 0.4 down further right after I can just see that there's no more gap, to put a little bit of an indent in the tape. I'll raise it up and move the table out of the way. Nope, didn't capture it. Got to go a little bit further this time. A little bit further. A real good indent in there. So what we got? Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, here's one. See that one? And the other one right here. It is real tough. I know it's right there. It's really tough to see with the camera. but when you look at it in the right light, in person, you'll see the indents. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark them with marker. Put a little dot right in the center of it. Now you can see those. I'll just take my calipers, sugar 0, and go in from the front. And however you want to do it, you want to make sure you're flat on the face. And you want to pull it back and measure either to the edge of the hole, the center of the hole, whichever you want to do it, as long as you do it the same on both sides. So let's say I got 12.8 there. I'd write that down, come over, get the second hole, and ideally you want to set your light up so that you're not casting a shadow over your hole like I am right now. Get it in the center, 13.34. I usually take 3 or 4 and I'll do an average of them all. Write down what you got. You'll take the 2 and you subtract them, and then you have your offset. So as it is right now, this one was closer to the face, so it is in positive direction Y. This is primary and that's secondary. I don't know, 12.8 and then 13.34, something like that. I can't remember now. Yeah, I think it was 12.8. It was somewhere in there. So take a few measurements, get a couple of average readings, subtract the 2, and then you're going to get your offset in the Y direction. And you can go back, do the same thing this way between the holes to get your offset in the X direction. Actually, sometimes find it easier to use a nice scale so that you can get the scale in line with the front of the bed, and just measure in between the 2 as best as you can. But the most accurate way is definitely digital calipers. As long as you're holding it square with the front of the table. Go from center to center. And you know, I'm getting about, I think I have it set to 34.4, somewhere around there. But just looking at it like this, you know, I get 34.11. As long as you get it really close, it'll work. And then if you print, like see, I've got these 2 color coins. When you get 2 circles, or actually squares may be better, that are 2 colors, you can see just how much you may have to move it in one direction or the other to fine tune it. And I only had to move it maybe 0.1 millimeters in the Y and 0.1 in the X, and then they were dead on. So that's just how I get my offset.